Episode 25, Cyntoia Brown. In the Independent Lens episode called Me Facing Life, which aired on PBS in March of 2011, Cyntoia Brown's 2-year incarceration up to her trial is chronicled. In 2004, 16-year-old Cyntoia Brown shot and killed 43-year-old Johnny Allen. Me Facing Life follows Cyntoia through the justice system. In it, her biological mother Gina Mitchell, her maternal grandmother Joan Mitchell, and her adoptive mother Ellenette Brown speak of many aspects of Cyntoia's life. Joan married at 19 years old to a man with whom she had a less than stellar relationship.
I got married when I was 19. I married David, who was a very poor provider. I would find myself cringing when he would come towards me with any sexual manner, and I knew I had to get away. Tommy came to my house. I was doing dishes, and he came up behind me. And I really wasn't expecting that by no means, because I've never been around folks like that. And then he started slapping me. And he said, you're going to get what you deserve. And he grabbed me and snatched me and started beating me and dragged me to the bedroom. I got pregnant from that particular rape. But you can use the word rape in many ways, because I feel like all of us has been raped of our life when this incident happened to me. There's Tommy, there's Gina, and then there's Tori. The genetics are strong, and the genetics should stop.
In 1987, 17-year-old Gina migrated to Clarksville, Tennessee from Georgia because she was pregnant and her sister resided there. Her mother Joan wouldn't allow Gina to remain in the house because she was pregnant and the baby would be of mixed race. Gina's life became tumultuous following her pregnancy with Cyntoia. This is also around the time she became friendly with a teenaged boy named Chico and his sister Missy. When the teens met, Gina was already pregnant. Ellenette Brown found out that Gina was pregnant after her son asked her for a ride to the hospital on January 29, 1988. She had given birth. They didn't see Gina again for 6 months when she showed up at their house asking if they could look after the baby for a while. Little did she realize that while would span a full year. Ellenette loved Cyntoia like her own daughter, but the family was ill-equipped to care for a baby. She wasn't legally her guardian, so she couldn't formally enroll her anywhere. Consequently, Cyntoia was routinely left in the care of an elderly neighbor. Ellenette needed to work, and her husband Thomas was often deployed by the army. Her son and daughter were living their own lives. Ellenette was granted guardianship by the court, but when Cyntoia was 18 months old, Gina returned and wanted her daughter back. Chico begged her not to let the baby go, since he had been in touch with Gina while she was gone and he knew that she had been in and out of jail and performing sex work. But they couldn't stop it before it happened, and Gina showed up, convincing Thomas that she was just going to have the baby for a while and that she'd bring her back. It took another 6 months before Ellenette could locate the child, ensconced at the Elizabeth Canty Projects in Columbus, Georgia, with a different elderly couple. Ellenette showed up there, paperwork in hand, and took the baby home. Cyntoia was happy again and she was loved, but by all reports, the child had changed. She was now clingy and often jealous of Ellenette spending time or attention on anyone else. Thomas was deployed often throughout Cyntoia's childhood, but one particular incident which occurred around the age of 9 began to really change their relationship for the worse. Ellenette frowned upon his excessive drinking, and she and Thomas got into a physical altercation so upsetting that her son came to the house the next day to confront him. This is when Cyntoia was put in the position to decide whether to try to break them up or call 911. Once she did alert authorities, her relationship with her adoptive father would be forever tainted. Around the age of 10, after stumbling across a secret stash of letters that Gina had regularly sent her from behind bars, Cyntoia began to dabble with alcohol whenever she got the chance. She felt betrayed after living many years being told that her biological mother didn't keep in touch. As she entered adolescence, Cyntoia said that she didn't trust her adopted mother to be truthful with her. Thomas did not provide any emotional connectivity and was often absent from the home. Academically, though, Cyntoia excelled. When tested, her IQ was 127. She was enrolled in her school's gifted program, even taking the ACTs as a 12-year-old 7th grader. But just as school was looking promising, Cyntoia found herself transferred to an alternative school for delinquent children after being arrested for the theft of about $2,000 worth of her friend's mother's jewelry. At that facility, Cyntoia had a psych evaluation and was medicated, seemingly out of touch with reality. She pulled a fire alarm and tried to escape before being placed in a secure long-term juvenile facility, Woodland Hills Youth Detention Center in Nashville. It was more prison than school. Cyntoia was violent. She assaulted a teacher, threw a chair at a CPS supervisor, and was involved in more than 20 assaults on other kids. Cyntoia went to drug and alcohol treatment and was medicated for both anxiety and depression. Psychological testing noted erratic behavior and wild mood swings, but after more than a year at Woodland Hills Development Center and more than 2 years in the system, Cyntoia went home to Elinette in April 2003 when she was 15. That is when Cyntoia learned that Elinette had divorced Thomas soon after she had gone into CPS custody. The only father she had ever known was gone. Elinette was now living with family friend Frank and expressed when interviewed that Cyntoia hated him and did whatever she could to run him off, even going so far as to tell Frank that Elinette had another boyfriend. Repeated mother-daughter clashes formed a rift, and just like that, Cyntoia was gone again. She went first to her sister's house, Elinette's older daughter Missy, in Clarksville, Tennessee. Here, she traded babysitting for lodging, but then she would just vanish for days at a time. She returned, but was restless. One day in December, the month before she turned 16, she decorated her sister's Christmas tree, packed a bag, and left, heading for a new life of her own in Nashville. Cyntoia turned 16 and found shelter at the Nashville home of a woman named Shakosha, whose home was used by wayward children whose parents didn't care for them, as a refuge. Here, she did ecstasy, smoked marijuana, and drank alcohol. She spent nights partying in clubs with much older men just interested in some of her innocence. Cyntoia only continued to ratchet up her delinquency and was soon selling crack out of the Andrew Jackson housing project for a friend while he was locked up. When released, Cyntoia agreed to accompany him on a drug run to Florida. When they stopped overnight at a hotel, Cyntoia was drugged and raped, not being returned home for 2 days. They never made it to Florida. Around the time that Cyntoia was pulling fire alarms and trying to escape from juvenile detention, Garyon McGluthan, aka Cutthroat, was charged with multiple felonies, and his criminal history continued to expand up until he and Cyntoia entered each other's lives. Little did she know, by the time he was a 23-year-old harboring a minor at the In-Town Suites in Nashville, he was wanted in connection with a shooting which left a restaurant owner paralyzed earlier that year. In the early morning hours of February 7, 2004, Rachel Browning closed the La La Lounge in Nashville and headed home around daybreak. Neighbors later said that they witnessed her being shot and robbed in the condo parking lot. Cutthroat would be identified as one of the shooters. The .40 caliber pistol used to shoot Rachel in the neck and paralyze her from the chest down would find its way into Cyntoia's purse for her protection. Murfreesboro Pike was a road notorious for sex worker traffic, making that In-Town Suites motel convenient to lay low at.
The night of August 6th of 2004, where did you begin that evening around, say, 7 o'clock?
I was in the hotel room.
And what were you doing with Cut in the motel room at the In-Town Suites?
We were either getting high or having sex. That's all we ever did. He said that I was slipping and that I was starting to become a slouch, that I needed to get out and get on my grind and get some money. When I left, I was looking for a ride so I can go out to East Nashville.
Who were you going to see in East Nashville?
Well, I wasn't going to see particularly anyone. I was going to an area that I knew was very, a lot of people go there and prostitute.
Okay. When you walked up to the Sonic, who approached you?
A man in a white truck.
And is this the person that has been referred to throughout this hearing, Mr. Allen?
Yes. He didn't want to go to the hotel. He said that he wanted to go to his house because there was no one there. That time he was just finished telling me about his accomplishments and saying how that he used to be in the Army and that he was a sharpshooter in the Army. And then he had told me how a lot of women want him for his money and that he wanted someone to make love with him with desire.
Okay. Did you see any guns in the house?
Yes, I seen 2 shotguns downstairs, and he showed me a chrome gun with a black handle.
Where were you when he showed you that?
I was sitting at the table eating my food.
Do you tend to be a nervous person?
Yeah.
Was there anything that made you especially nervous that night?
Just how he was acting. Just how he talked. It's like the way he talked, how he was just so important and stuff. And then me, I look at myself, who am I? Who am I to him? It's like, then he talks about the guns and stuff. If he does something to me, I'm sitting here thinking, what can I do? I'm in his house. Ain't nobody gonna know where I'm at. My mom and them, they don't know where I'm at.
So you felt like if you tried to leave, he would harm you.
Right.
And your belief in that is based on the fact that he told you he had some guns and he's a sharpshooter.
Not only that, but the way
also,
he was acting.
Well, the only thing we know is that he bought you food, he took you home, you used his bathroom, you felt comfortable doing that. You ate with him, you felt comfortable doing that. You sat on the couch and watched TV with him, you felt comfortable doing that. You got in the bed and at least one time went to sleep while he was there. You felt comfortable doing that.
I never went to sleep. He just grabbed me, like, in between my legs, like, he just grabbed it real hard. And he just gave me this look. It was, like, a very fierce look. And it just sent these chills up my spine. I'm thinking he's going to hit me or do something like that. But then he rolls over and reaches, like, he's reaching to the side of the bed or something. So I'm thinking, no, he's not going to hit me. He's going to get a gun.
Mm-hmm. And what did you do at that time?
I just grabbed the gun and I shot him.
Myro's making deodorant better, like 10 times better. They make their natural deodorant with a custom blend of essential oils that release over time to keep you fresh and barley powder to keep you dry. Their formula is hard-working with no toxic anything, 0% aluminum, 0% parabens. Here's how it works. Choose your scent and the color of your case. Get a refresh every 3 months delivered straight to your door, conveniently timed for when most people run out. Switch scents, press pause, or stop literally anytime you want. Its refillable case and mood-inspiring scents are good for you and the planet we live on. Because the case is refillable, Myro refills reduce plastic waste by approximately 50% versus typical drugstore deodorants. With the continued use of other deodorants, I've noticed irritation at the application site, and I just don't get that with Myro. In the solar flare scent, it's truly refreshing and a great way to start the day. Visit mymyro.com/warbaby and use promo code warbaby to get $5 off your first order. Doing good and feeling good should be an everyday thing. Just like deodorant, visit mymyro.com/warbaby and use promo code warbaby to get started today for just $5. Following the shooting, Cyntoia grabbed Johnny's pants, containing his wallet, along with a rifle, a shotgun, and the keys to his truck. Around 2 a.m., she brought Cutthroat the guns and drove the truck and parked it in a Walmart parking lot. She caught a ride back to the motel with a stranger. Cyntoia spent the following day doing drugs and watching the news for any signs of a report of a dead man. She didn't see anything, and Cyntoia went to a nearby room to find an acquaintance from juvenile detention, Richard Reed, who was living there with a roommate named Sam. Cyntoia asked Richard to drive her to the Walmart, which he did. Along the way, she told him she had robbed a man and killed him. He saw her go to the white truck. She had the keys, but he did not drive her to the house on Mossdale Drive. 911 would later receive a call about a homicide at 2